everyone. I really hope that you are having a nourishing day or evening wherever you are. I wanted to come on here and just start a conversation. I don't know the length of this video, might delete it, who knows, but this is something that's near and dear to my heart, and yeah, I just wanted to share it here on my YouTube, and however it lands, and whoever it's for will find it. And I hope that my intention is that it can be useful. Maybe it will spark conversation, maybe deepening into your practice or your own habits, maybe ones that you realize are no longer working, or maybe implementing new habits that you find will amplify or attune your space. And so let's just jump right in. I am just flowing, allowing the information to flow through. I do have some notes in my journal, but other than that, I didn't pre-plan this video. As you all can tell with the rest of the videos, they're often not planned. They just flow through, channel through, and so here we are. So for me, for any of you all who don't know, again, my name is Diamond. I own a spiritual container called Illumined Alchemy, Attunements and Apothecary. And really it's an apothecary that is different from maybe the traditional sense of apothecary. For me, really being in tune with nature and remembering our nature through nature, and really listening to the guidance and intuitive information that flows through from the elements and from the earth and from the plants and ancestors, and really making medicine in ceremony and through prayer, and just really intentional, like being intentional and intention setting, and really holding, as a trained doula, really being a guide that can support with the advocacy and education, and just emotional support for many who may feel like they're experiencing loss or grief, or just in the midst of transition on the path. And really, I find that we are coming back to our inner garden, and that what we see out in the world, or what we see in the garden and see in nature, that it has a lot to do with the health and the physical body and the space in which we even have within our home. And yeah, I can speak more on that in a future video if people are curious about that. But right now, I really wanted to create this video with the theme related to energetic hygiene and nighttime, like really preparing your space and your vessel. And the vessel, I just mean like your inner garden, the inner space that is within your mind, your body, your spirit. Recently, literally earlier today, I had a nightmare that was a little traumatizing, and it was in the middle of the day, maybe like 3 o'clock, so like afternoonish time. And I remember that before I went to sleep, I was hearing some of my siblings upstairs, and I didn't really clear my space or really even ask them if they can maybe quiet down, that I'm trying to rest. And I just remember putting in my earplugs so that I could maybe decrease the noise. And yeah, just things happened within the dream trigger warning just before, jumping into it. It had to do with gun violence and things of that nature. And so it was a bit alarming. I woke up really just like disheveled. I couldn't really walk. My eyes were completely just like not centered. It was very just like shaky. I felt shaky. And I know that often, even for myself, I may forget, especially in the afternoon if I'm taking a nap, to really set my space and really set the container, because our home is sacred. Our environment where we rest our head is very sacred. And I find that we can be, let me think of the word, vulnerable when we're asleep, right? Going into the astral or going into the emotional body, and the importance of the energetic hygiene beforehand. So I'll just jump right into that. So yeah, really, really considering and thinking about like our moods and emotions before going to sleep or taking a nap. Really looking at what is our environment looking like. Is it very cluttered? Is it did we use the space prior and before a meeting or maybe before an activity and we didn't clean up behind ourselves? Maybe looking at what fears do we have? What fears have we been maybe thinking about during the day, or maybe certain types of to-do lists that we have, like, oh, I need to be here at this time. Or maybe we're thinking about like our shopping list of what we need to do the next day or later on in the day. And also a lot, many times our subconscious comes to surface when we're asleep. So maybe what we're pushing away, or what, what's right beneath the surface that we in our conscious mind may not want to look at, or may be scary to look at, or we may be judging that aspect of ourselves. And then I want to go into like setting an intention before sleeping, and the importance of that. Really thinking about, okay, well, do I want to be able to recall my dreams? Do I want to have a peaceful sleep? Do I want to ask for healing? If you believe that, being able to ask for healing while you're asleep. Really just thinking about your intentions. For some people it may be like, I really want a restful sleep. I don't want to wake up and I'm like turning in my bed. So really just thinking about what's the intention, and ritualizing bedtime. And that's really one of the big things that I want to talk about in this video, or that I just want to highlight, is that yes, the energetic hygiene, but also ritualizing bedtime. Just like we maybe have rituals for other parts of our lives, or maybe when we cook, there's a certain type of smell that we like. There's a certain types of seasonings that we use. There's a certain type of music that we play, or certain time that we like to cook, or there's certain people who we like to eat with, whether you live with family or you have a partner, or maybe there are certain times during the year of certain holidays that you maybe have chosen family that you bring into your home. And so really ritualizing bedtime and ritualizing our self-care and the way that we get our day started, whether you started with prayer, or you have maybe you journal, or you script when you first get up in the morning, or maybe you just take time and really are intentional about really having a slow morning. Maybe you allow yourself to lay in bed and then at some point, you know, you go and you maybe make you a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, but there's something that you are consistently devoted to and committed to. And that may not be every aspect of your life, but there may be some aspect, or there's a time when like you really like this smell or this scent when you are maybe drawing a bath, or maybe there's a certain bath scrub that you like to use when you're in the shower. Like just allowing our lives and different aspects of our lives to be a ritual, and that and ceremonial, and that being a beautiful way to care for ourselves and to love the garden, which we are. So when I speak about energetic hygiene, I'm talking about the context of energy healing and well-being, to really be clear and to really protect our field, and really just like that space around us, around our physical bodies, and even our environment, even in the room that we have, and really examining and tuning into what balance and flowing energy may look like in that space. And so for me, I'll speak to some of my practices, especially when I get up in the morning or during the day. Clearing and really intention setting is imperative. I don't like to say protection work. For me, it's just really like, again, it goes back to intent, than it being like I'm fearful that something's out to get me. Like to me, those are two different energies. And if you believe that you need protection, therefore, you know, you need protection. For me, again, it's really about I don't want to say prevention, but really just setting the landscape, so that I'm ready for the day. So a lot of that happens, you know, for me, of really getting centered, and that may be through a meditation or breath work, or really just being in tune with my body, allowing myself to drop in, to notice, okay, like what's actually happening inside of me, what's actually happening within my mind, what stories are going, am I having racing thoughts, what's happening within my body. Is there, like today, there was literally a spot on my right foot at the bottom of my foot that was tender. I was just like, oh, I actually hadn't noticed that. But it took me going out to exercise to then notice, okay, my foot actually hurts. So what do I want to do about this? And it's really important for that, you know, I really think it's really important that we are in tune with our bodies, and really thinking about and having awareness of how we can support it. You know, if there's things that are happening, or different ailments, or something that feels a bit off, like really asking ourselves, okay, well, what is this part of my body showing me? You know, how can I be a greater steward to this vessel and take care of it? And then I also want to speak on healthy boundaries. And really, to me, that has a lot to do with, again, if we're thinking about this from a place of preparing for sleep, it's like, what actually do I want in the room? You know, what actually needs to be in the space, you know, or what would be helpful to be in this space, right? For me, I have my altars. For other people, you know, their altars may feel more like have more active and lively energy, so maybe it would keep them up. Maybe there's a certain type of sound that you like to prepare you to sleep. maybe there's a certain type of smell, maybe lavender, maybe rose, maybe eucalyptus. Like what is the smell that you like? What ways, maybe before you even get into bed, like after you shower, is there a certain type of lotion or a certain type of spray or skincare product or hair care product that you are adorning yourself with to prepare you for, that's a part of your nighttime routine that gets you ready to sleep. And maybe that's also could be a part of intention setting. These are the items that are part of my routine, or my body routine that helps me settle down and get ready for sleep. So I mentioned sound. Maybe there's a certain color. Maybe certain colors, for like linen, helps you feel calmer, and maybe that relaxes you and gets you ready for sleep. And then also I wanted to speak on healthy boundaries with technology, because there are studies that show that the light from technology, from your devices, can really confuse the brain and in a way keep the mind active and keep it what word am I trying to convey? Just really keep the mind active, so it's not really preparing you to sleep. And so maybe looking at the ways in which we have relationship with our devices, and maybe what could be most helpful is setting a time of like, okay, well, I know at this time, at maybe 9 or 8:30 or 10, that in order for me to really get the most sleep and that I can, or in order for me not to maybe be waking up during the night, maybe I should put my device outside of my room, or maybe I should designate an area where I won't touch my device until a certain time the following day. So that also can be aligned with healthy boundaries, so that you're just really getting the mind ready to see that, yeah, we're settling down, and now it's time to sleep. And that can also go along with what type of digital information that we're consuming before we're going to bed. Are you looking at a scary movie? Are you listening to crime, like a crime documentary or a crime show? Are you looking at funny videos? Like what type of media are we consuming, and is that supporting our overall health and well-being? So that's something to think about as well. Yeah, and then I have balance here that has a lot to do too with like clearing, just really finding that energetic equilibrium and really being grounded, really being able to, when it's time to get ready for bed, at least for me, again, I'm sharing these different techniques. I'm sharing these just as an invitation because they have been helpful for me. And it's me speaking from my own perspective, that clearing out certain energies within the space also can be helpful. And that can simply be saying like, I release all energy that does not belong to me in this space. I release all energy that is maybe stagnant in this space, and allowing ourselves to really remember that the earth can support us. And so if it resonates, allowing those energies to go back to the earth. And really, when we do that clearing energy and see what we don't want in this space, or what we are releasing, or if there's certain thought forms that again have been running in our minds about to-do lists, maybe how I could have done better for the day, how I didn't show up, or maybe how stressful work was, or how stressful school was, or I don't know, even doubts about I don't know how tomorrow's gonna go. I don't know really even like even down to like what outfits am I gonna wear, what food am I gonna eat, and really being able to sit with, is all this information helpful, right? Because it doesn't have to actually stay in this space. It actually, we're empowered beings, and these energies, and this information does not need to be cluttered within the space that maybe we are, again, are choosing to be a sacred space for us to sleep. And so working with the earth, working with flowers that you feel called, and again, I can share more about this and this type of technique in a future video, since I know we're already like 20 minutes in. But I also just want to share that you can also call in energies that you do want in this space. You know, if you want more of like of a relaxing vibe, if you want more of a balanced equilibrium, like if you want more of that type of frequency or that type of vibration to be here, more like resilience within the space, or vitality, or whatever you may want. Again, it all goes back to intention of setting your space for the evening. You know, like what do you want within the space, and trusting as well. What's next? And then I wanted to touch on techniques, which just popped up as I was thinking about SpongeBob, and there's one episode where he's like, technique. So, anyways, I can be really goofy, and yeah, gotta have some laughter. So when I speak about grounding, you all probably are like, what the heck is she talking about? So there's many different techniques that you can use, again, for that energetic hygiene within the space and the well-being of your space, and for your own, the garden within you. Meditation, breath work, visualization, energy clearing. You can use water and salt, or you can smudge, and there's also sonic clearing. Again, you don't have to clear the space just with words. You can also clear your space with a sound bowl, with a drum, with a shaker, with a flute, with whatever music, or even music that you may feel in harmony with on YouTube or on SoundCloud or on any of, Apple Music or any streaming networks that you feel called to. You can also use sound, use affirmations. You can also use smells. I like working with jasmine. I like working with frankincense, and I really love copal. And so often in the mornings, that's the smell that that's the incense that I will burn, or resins if you work with resins, or if you feel called in a respectful way, working with sage or Palo Santo. And yeah, or different herbs for clearing. I can also make a video on that if people are interested on that. Just let me know. Working with color, that can also be literally, you have certain colored curtains in your room, or certain linen, or certain pillowcases, or you can use color within visualization. I already spoke on setting boundaries. Prioritizing self-care, right? Like, what self-care practices can you begin to implement, or that you already implement, that can go hand in hand with your nighttime routine? Energy movement, that being maybe yoga or Tai Chi or Qigong. Energy movement is really great because it really facilitates the flow of energy of the body, and it really, again, centers us and brings us into the present moment of what's actually being asked of us in the present moment, because I believe that the moment really informs us, and our bodies really informs us of unique and practical information that we can use to nurture and nourish ourselves. I also want to bring through EFT, which is the emotional freedom technique. Often there's plenty of videos on YouTube that speaks to this, but that really has to do with tapping on acupuncture points to release maybe imbalances or blockages or things where we feel that there may be stuck energy, or we are really maybe still sitting with some emotions that we have and that we really want to work through, and we really want to maybe create a new story and shift our story. So EFT can also help us, again, get ready to sleep, get ready and prepare our vessel to wind down, to wind down. Because if we're having any like stress, or we feel that we are having anxiety of that, in that way, EFT can really be supportive. So I really hope this was helpful. I'm trying to see if there was anything else I wanted to share. I know I speak fast, but I do hope this was helpful. Yeah. And, at some point I'll also make a video on making the home the garden, because I really feel that our vessel is a garden, but also our home can be. Our home can be this sacred space, this sacred sanctuary, if we really allow ourselves to cultivate that type of relationship, and really reimagine that beauty is not just what we can see or go to outside, or if we go to these beautiful gardens or community gardens where we see that there's like vegetables and flowers and herbs growing, but that we can also bring those things within the home, and that there is so much beauty. There's so much beauty and so much opportunity there. And I think that's all for now. I think that's all I wanted to share for now. And I hope this video is a sacred reminder to myself, and also to those who are watching, or to those who this video reach, that anything can be made sacred, and that really preparing ourselves for sleep is really important, because it can really impact the type of dreams that we have. This video is not to say that we won't have maybe dreams that bring up trauma, or that bring up sadness, or that can feel heavy or a bit dense, or even painful. It's not to say that, but it is to say that in some ways, again, we can empower ourselves to create a space that is nourishing and that can be supportive for bedtime, and again, really even during our waking time as well. And maybe, just maybe, these practices can soften what we experience in our dream time. So that's all I wanted to share. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take good care, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.